This is the 31st Lap Podcast, recorded live in the studios of FingerLakes1.com in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now, your hosts, Rich Post, John Bonus, Mike Mallet, and Chris Marquardt.
Good evening and welcome to episode number 71 of the 31st Lap. I'm Chris Marquardt. That introduction was a little bit misleading. We've only got half of the usual staff tonight.
Pay no attention.
There's John Bonus joining us in studio. We've also got the one and only Ray Hendershot joining us for the first time, apparently on any form of radio or internet television, and then Jay Fish back again for week number 3. Jay, you right now you have appeared on more shows in 2013 than Rich, but how many birthday parties have you been at? That's the key.
I skip birthday parties.
You skip birthday parties. See, no, that's fun. That's where you get into trouble.
Wow.
Am I right, Hendershot? You skip those sons of guns every chance you get.
Rich taking a beating already. 2 seconds into the show, and he's getting slapped around.
Rich told me that he was staying home tonight so that he could take part in the live chat. He was going to take advantage of the Fall House tonight. We were lucky enough that Ray lives right here in Clyde. He said he was going to take a night off of working on the farm and working on the race car and joining us here in studio. We'll catch up with Ray throughout the whole thing. I mean, I hope that you're staying for the whole show. I mean, that'd be
got no problem with it.
That'd be great.
Yep. Well, if you see him go across the camera lens at one point, that means he's leaving.
See ya.
He's like, well, we're done with you guys.
No, I always like a good laugh.
Well, you're in the right place.
You found it.
Yeah, what are you trying to say?
You judge that.
Have you watched any of the 31st Lap before?
No, not really.
No?
No.
Yeah. Well, count your blessings.
I will from now on out. This is seems like a very good show.
Well, thanks a lot. Jay making the trip out. You have a good week? Did you get to any races?
Yes, I did. I went to Oswego Speedway for the International Super Modified Association event down there. Their opener for the season. Chris Purley was devastatingly good, as usual.
Yeah, because that's a shock.
Yeah.
Well, the guy took a year away. I mean,
he always wins those ISMA shows.
Well, let's not forget the guy's been gone for a year, got sick of sitting on the sidelines. Him and his car owner, his old car owner, Miller, got back together, and it was a heck of a display that he put on. I mean, he was making moves that, God himself probably was looking down and saying, geez, why didn't I think of that?
That he always used to make beforehand.
Yep. Yeah. He's unstoppable.
It's like he never took a year off.
Yeah, it's almost like he had a grudge. In Victory Lane, the guy got out of the car like, hey, I should have been doing this all last year, and he was holding a grudge against the rest of the field. It was pretty impressive to watch, and it's great to see a competitor like that.
This is one of those rare instances where somebody takes a year off, and they do come back to the sport.
Yep. Yeah, you get bored. I mean,
they're rare.
There's only so many boats you can fix up in his marina there in Kennebunkport or wherever the hell the guy's from. He probably just got sick of staring at the water and said, you know what, I'm going to go kick somebody's butt in a race car. And he's going to do it at 180 miles an hour or whatever the hell they were doing.
Well, he's good at it with those wing cars. Oh. Jesus. Every time I haven't seen those cars a lot, but I've seen them probably, 6-8 ISMA races probably, and it seems like he's won 3/4 of the ones I've seen.
He's real good.
He is good.
John wanted to interview him, and he goes, the first question we got to ask is when he's going to drive an Ardc car.
You got a problem with that?
He'd drive the wheels off.
How do you know he hasn't already run a Neiman midget?
Because he probably has.
Okay,
if you brought that up,
then what are you talking about?
It was more a USAC.
I know what you're doing. Just trying to light me up. Just get off my back.
Yeah.
Lines in the sand.
That's right.
I'll piss on your sand.
It's a shame Mike couldn't be here. Mike's off playing baseball again. We've already got the folks in the live chat asking where he is. So, yeah. That's
he's
cool.
missing again.
Baseball.
Just like last year, though. We went through this last year where he missed several weeks because of baseball.
Yep, and then the racing season followed that. Which,
yeah, I know, right? He's hard to he's hard to corral on in the summertime.
Yeah, that's okay, though.
But
Ken's here. Ken's here. He just wants to share that midget racing.
When he's gone
sucks.
to the racing instead of coming here, if he's at a race, then I'll give him a break. At least it's a race.
I guess.
I give him credit for that.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we were talking about a guy who had took a year off of racing and came back and did just fine. Somebody who took over 30 years off from racing and came back and did just fine in relatively short amount of time. Ray Hendershot picks up the win in the new Legends division at Canandaigua Motorsports Park. Ray, I mean, first we need to clear up some misinformation. When was the last time you won at Canandaigua?
Never did.
There you go.
Yeah, I have no clue where that information came from. But
It was the 70s. Is there any chance that win just kind of faded from your memory?
I doubt that very much. I mean, I have a lapse of memory, but not that much.
I celebrated so much I forgot all about it.
No, but the only thing I ever came close was before I went to college. Back to college in '76. It was back then. It was the Schaefer qualifiers.
Yep.
And the next night I went to school in Michigan, and I was running third in the 100-lap qualifier, and going down the backstretch, and the rear end blew.
Oh.
And I had just passed Dave Kneisel coming out of 2, and the car was absolutely hooked up, and probably the best it ever was at that time. And it was a shame because it was an overshadowed look by me and my grandfather when we worked on the rear end that weekend.
Yeah.
So, but, oh well.
Tell us a little bit about what Canandaigua was like then versus what the track is now.
The banks were a little bit higher. You didn't have none of the Jersey barriers.
Right.
When you came on number 2, you could just let it all hang out. I mean, you could literally almost go right out to the fence.
Yeah.
And you could literally almost keep the car sideways from turn 2 right into 3, and a little bit more open. Of course, the cars today are a lot different. I'm getting used to that, and a lot more side bite.
Yeah.
But of course, the first week was not very fun. Came in number 2 and hit the turn 2 wall, but it's a learning curve.
Yep.
It's a learning curve.
Absolutely.
The banks were a little bit higher. You can charge them a little bit harder, but it's a difference, you know.
So your last race was when? Before now? Before this year?
It would have been sometime in June of '76.
Wow.
So that might have been just your last race then. It wasn't necessarily the last win. It would have been the last time you were there.
Yes.
To race.
Right. And it was the last race because it was a Saturday night. I had to be at school in Michigan on Monday. And
was that the ag school out there?
No, it was. I went to Northwood University, automotive school, for automotive sales and aftermarket. And it was just, had to go back to school. I needed to get my degree, and came back the following year and started to build a car. Back then it was the Club 31 car. It was a Jimmy Champagne super modified that we were converting to dirt. And my grandfather and I got in a little competition with the sponsor, and I never did get back to racing in '77. So
then after that, it just never pursued it.
Well, it was the involvement of the new style cars. You had the Gremlins and the Pintos.
Yep.
They were narrowing up the chassis, and you're getting rid of the leaf spring type of setups, and it was more torsion arm. And my grandfather would not go for sponsors. It had to be his car, his way, and that was the only way. So it was a limited budget, and you just couldn't do it back then, like it is today.
Right.
And literally, it's you need some money today in order to be even somewhat competitive.
Yeah.
So
you do.
So
it is an expensive sport for sure.
So what happened between not racing in '77 to racing in 2013? What happened in that interim that after it's almost a 30-year span.
36, yeah.
37.
Almost 40-year span.
Yep. Well,
yeah.
Any motorhead has a love for racing.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter how long it is. I would go to the races every now and then. We'd sit in my stands, and my wife and I would be sitting there, and she'd be seeing me doing this with my foot, And she said, "What are you doing?" I says, "Leave me alone, I'm racing." That's right. But it was in 2000 I was diagnosed with skin melanoma, and it was a stage 3. It was a little tumor on my left arm. Had surgery. Was in remission for 13 years. I attended some races every now and then just for the love of the sport. And then this 2012 of March, I was diagnosed with melanoma again. It came back, but it was stage 4, metastatic. And I had a tumor on the artery, pulmonary artery, a tumor on my right lung, and a tumor on my left spine.
Wow.
So, and it's, you say to yourself, if you had one more thing to do, what would you do?
Right.
Yeah. And I told my wife, I said, I've been fortunate enough to have a great job at Gould's Pumps and been able to collect my pension while I've been working. I saved up enough money, and my mom helped me out a little bit, and I went out and bought Trinity Sutherland's car from BlackRock and trailer and the whole car. And
Serenity is the the blue car, right? Trinity and
number 37.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And one of my best friends that I've known for about the last 15, 20 years is Tony Mayo, who is one of Troyer's lead fabricators. And I told him that I was going to get back into it, and he thought I was nuts. But, and I am nuts.
Good.
But, so I told him I looked for his guidance. I went up to Troyer and talked to Bill Colton, and being that Tony worked at Troyer, I know I wanted a Troyer car. I didn't know, T.O., Bicknell, chassis to me.
Right.
So, fortunate enough to get the car from Trinity. I tore it down completely and totally rebuilt it. And then Tony is good friends with Brian Turner.
Yeah.
And we took the car up to his shop and worked on that up there. So if it wasn't for Brian and Tony.
He and I talked about you when I was at work 2 weeks ago. We talked about
Brian?
that. Yeah. He needed a pulley for a lawnmower. But yeah, we talked about that.
Great individual. Mentored me a little bit, and another individual who works at Gould's in our R&D department is Rob Mack, who used to race back in early 2000s. Have been helping me out a little bit on driving these cars. So we built the car completely brand new. The only thing that's not new in this car is the chassis, the rear end, and the Burt transmission, power steering. Everything else is brand new in it.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, how much of a learning curve was there to get acclimated to this car versus, did you have to pretty much throw all your notes from
Oh, yeah.
just out the window?
Back then with the big blocks, you would be automatically going in hard. I mean, there was just you were back then it was 4,000 or 5,000 horsepower, 400 or 500 horsepower. So, back then you let up and you feather it right in through the turn. Now, literally with these cars, you go in hard, you let up just a brief moment and get right back in the throttle, and it's it's a little bit touchier. I noticed that, but 3 and 4, I haven't got there yet, on a wide open standpoint. But seat time. I'm looking for seat time, build confidence.
3 or 4 races in, right?
Two races.
Two. That was my second race. Since I've been back. Yeah.
Nice.
So
that's awesome.
Well. Yeah, it was a great race. I mean, Jason Scales, who I was following for that 10 laps, was doing a good job. And going in that last lap, he got a little loose in 1 and 2. And it was a lap car coming up, and I said, you know what? Now's my opportunity. With the lap car in front of him and him slowing right down, I said, I'm going to try this. And I just put the pedal right down to the floor and set the car up and went right out around him, and it worked well.
So it was a last lap pass on.
It was a lap pass,
Nice.
and
damn,
didn't really want to get. To be honest with you, I really did not want to get that win. I mean, I'll be honest with you, because the 3-win rule, and you got to go up.
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
new Legends.
Yeah. In the Legends, if you win,
so
3
then you got to go to Sportsman. Is that
then I
the
got to go
idea?
to Sportsman's.
Okay.
And I just want to have a good time. I mean,
Right.
the goal for me is to go out and have a good time, and not cause no problems. And
So is that 3 wins in a career doing that, or is that 3
Single
wins in a
season.
season? Okay.
Single season. From what I understand, there are a few people that have been in the new Legends for 2 or 3 years.
So if we
That's true.
later as the season goes on, you get a second win, and then the season continues to move on. If we hear about you throwing a race, we'll know why.
If you see me chugging along and being laughed, yes. Exactly.
If he stops on the brakes in turn 4 and just sits there and waits for the field to pass him, I think we get an inkling of what might happen.
That's one of those races where Joe Morata talks about smoke coming off the leader.
The tricky turn number 3.
I think Jeremy would see that very vividly. Yeah, you're going up, buddy.
Yep.
You're going up.
He don't mess around.
What was it like going through turns 3 and 4? You've cleared him. You know that the only thing between you and the checkers right now is 2 turns and yourself.
The one thing that I did say to myself is don't screw up now.
Right.
I mean, plain and simple. I knew I cleared him well because I went by him. It wasn't like when I got side by side with him that he was there.
Right.
I mean, I cleared him, and I knew I cleared him quickly.
Yep.
So I let up just a little bit. I didn't charge through 3 and 4 that hard. I didn't feel anybody behind me. And when I got around that 4th turn and saw that checker flag out, the fist was pumping, and it says, finally.
Right.
Finally I did something, and finally I won. And it was it was probably the most rewarding time of my life for auto racing.
Yeah.
It really was.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's a great story.
When you got out of that car, what was that like?
I sat in the car for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I was just shaking, trembling, and adrenaline was just pumping. And, being gone for 37 years, crashing in the turn 2 wall the week before, and, second time out, it was just like, wow, did I really do it? And it was, it was very rewarding, rewarding.
That is so cool.
What was the thought process? I mean, what was going through your head? I mean, you went through the interview and everything like that, and you opened up a very personal side of yourself to a grandstand full of complete strangers when you talked about the reappearance of the cancer and stuff like that. So, I mean, what was the sharing of that part? I mean, I can see where it's all intertwined.
Well, one of the things when I got back into this racing, it was because of my cancer. I mean, I wanted to do it one more time.
Right.
Cancer gave me the ability and the mindset to say, listen, let's go after it. Don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. Regardless of the fact, let's try it. And the first thing before I even got into racing is I contacted the American Cancer Society.
Right.
And not so much from a monetary sponsorship, but from moral sponsorship.
Right.
My dad passed away with esophageal cancer. There's been family members who have died with cancer. A lot of my friends have died with cancer. A lot of my friends have cancer.
Yeah.
So I had the 3 ribbons on my car for melanoma, caregivers, and survivors, and the Relay for Life insignia. And I have some obligations for the American Cancer Society. I'll be the guest speaker at the Clyde Relay for Life. They were going to one theme, and I asked if I could be their speaker, and they changed their theme as Racing for a Cure.
Nice.
It's going to be June 22nd, so it's a Saturday night. I won't be racing that night, and possibly some other.
That's one night you don't have to worry about getting a win.
Yeah, there you go. And I won't have to get lapped. And there's some other opportunities, but I'm not ashamed of having cancer. I mean, it's life, it's reality, and cancer is out there. And for me, it's I want to be an ambassador to public awareness, especially with skin melanoma. Melanoma is one of your deadlier diseases, and it's a very rapid growing disease. And I'll be honest with you, in the 60s and 70s, I was a sun worshiper. It was see who get the darkest baby oil, iodine, cooking oil, and worked on the farm, lived in Auburn on Owasco Lake, just the way it is. So, but now there has to be an awareness and more public speaking about melanoma. Brings more awareness, and hopefully, if I can help one individual save their life, or at least go out and get reviewed by a dermatologist, once a year, it would make my dream. So, again, being an ambassador and talking about my cancer is something that I want to do. I'm not afraid and not ashamed to say it.
Yep.
Well, you alluded to something a little bit ago, and you said you don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow, and you're just going to go for it. Is that actually a reality? Or
No. The tumors that I had, the melanoma gene that I have is called BRAF. And the chemotherapy that I'm taking, it's pill form, and it's specific to the BRAF gene. Now, the tumor on my artery was a baseball size.
Holy crap.
And on the one on my femur area, my right lung, was a tennis ball.
And those are gone?
All the sports are
They're gone.
represented.
Yeah.
Attaboy.
Yeah. Oh, I got the marble on the left side of the spine, so we can play marbles, too.
Thank God that son of a gun wasn't a race car. Jesus.
I've got your spare tire, but I don't know if that counts.
Not yet. But I started chemo May 8th of 2012, and by the end of 2012, the tumors were gone.
Amen.
But I will be on chemo possibly for the rest of my life.
Wow.
So, but it is what it is. As long as my feet are above the ground, that's all I care about.
Yep.
And,
that's the right attitude.
If people want to make donations to the Race for the Cure up in Clyde, how do they do? Is there a Facebook page or website they can go to that you know of?
I'll be honest with you, I really don't know because I've only been to one of their meetings. I'm sure there's got to be a Facebook page or some type of
I'm sure if they Google it or whatever, they
I will get back to you, and then you could relay it to your audience, and that would be great.
Yeah, we'd link it on the Dirt Motorsports Hall of Fame Facebook and website as well to help you guys out. Get some more donations coming your way.
Yep, that's great.
Shameless self-promoter. Just saying.
Oh,
I really am.
you got to have one of them.
So evil. Guys over here pouring his heart out about cancer. I'm like, hey, how about we promote some stuff about the Hall of Fame for a minute? This tuber is sponsored by the Dirt Motorsports Hall of Fame and Classic Car Museum.
You mentioned Oswego. I had the luxury of driving a super modified hot lapping back in '75.
Oh, no kidding.
For Tubby Turner, who owned the Gary Reichert car.
Yep.
And that car was both a modified and a super.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the body pulled off, and there was a super was underneath it. And one of the guys who was working, Joe Pizzarus, who was one of the crew members for my grandfather, worked for Tubby.
No kidding.
And behind on Joe's farm we used to have a quarter-mile track. That's where we used to test the car out.
Huh.
And he had a calcium all down, and dozers down there, and getting the track in shape. And I had the luxury of Tubby coming down, watching a couple of my races. He said, "Would you ever be interested in driving asphalt?" I said, "Well, I'll give it a shot."
Sure.
And Gary was an over the road truck driver, and he was getting late to a race, and Tubby called me up and says, "Be at Oswego," and that's a whole different ballgame.
Oh, yeah.
Whole different
Yep.
ballgame. And I'll be honest with you, when they talk about shit your pants,
That's the place to do it. Yeah.
I almost did it. So it was a scary thought.
That place
but
is fast. Those cars are wicked fast.
very fast. Very fast.
The inside hub that goes around on the inside of the turns, that's what would throw me off as a driver. Do you have that kind of experience with that?
Yes. You just don't see a wall around the whole track, and it just you are so afraid to dive down low because all it takes is one little bump, and you go.
Yeah.
And same way with the outside, but at least the outside, you have a little bit of forgiveness, but that inside is that's all.
Typically the dirt track, most of your dirt tracks, like you said, most of them don't have a barrier or anything on the inside. So if you turn in too quick and you misjudge it just by a little bit, usually you're okay. But like Oswego, you can't make that mistake.
No, you can't.
You get one shot at it. If you make it once, it's too bad.
Yep.
See you later.
And being a rookie and the first time ever on asphalt, it was, thank God Gary showed up.
Sure.
Let's put it that way. Because I don't know if I don't know if I could have done it or not.
Yep.
But it was an experience that's one experience that I will never ever forget.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Well, those cars are radical, man.
They are.
They are so radical.
Very touchy.
Yep.
Very touchy.
Yep.
So
They're all those things, especially like now. They're all horsepower.
that's all it is.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Those
Horsepower
guys are
setup.
nuts.
And do yourself a favor. Google image the car he's talking about because that thing was a monstrosity.
It was.
It was like you said, the modified. You take the body off and they run it as a super. More bang for their buck, so to
Yep,
speak.
that's all it was. And identical. And Tubby and Gary were very successful with it. But, of course, you're running against Jimmy at that time, and who was just tearing up the asphalt. So it was also great on dirt, too. So, but, it was one experience I'll never forget.
That's awesome
Well,
stuff.
you talked about driving the Super, and we talked about the Sportsman car and your action at Canandaigua back in the 70s. When are you going to get in a sprint car? Dean Reynolds' action.
I watched them. I watched those 305 sprinters, and it's.
And you're thinking, wow, this is just as affordable as the car I've got, right? That's what you're thinking?
Yeah. It's like, do I ever think that I would ever step in? They are just unreal.
Yep.
And,
He needs to start out slow and go to a midget first.
yeah, I don't know. They're just about as radical as a sprint car. But I don't know. I mean, given an opportunity, maybe, but I'll take one day at a time. And, maybe a goal is to someday get back in the modified ranks. But, again, this is just something to satisfy my dream.
What you didn't
and that
get to do the last 30-some years.
Well, over the years, I should say, when Clint Meade died, Clint had bought one of the potato wagons from John Jackson, and Doug Madison drove it. It was the number 6, the blue and white car.
Yep.
And when Clint died, and Skip pulled me over the side and said to me, he says, I got a story to tell you. He said, did your grandfather ever inform you that we wanted you to drive our car? And I says, no. Grandpa Bruno never did say, anything like that, because my grandfather was pure Italian. He wanted to do it. He wanted me to drive for him. I had a good, successful year in '75, and I says, I'll be honest with you. I wish you should have came to me, because I think that if I had the opportunity to drive for Clint and Skip at that time, things may be different as we
Sure.
stand today.
Right.
So, but again, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yep.
You don't worry about the past. You
Yep.
can only worry about what's in front of you. Move forward. So now I've given that. But that started about 10, 15 years ago. That started my thinking process. So knowing that somebody out there knew that I had the ability to do it.
Right.
So,
Well, you've changed a lot of people's opinion. We've got this live chat thing that goes on. So we got a bunch of people that are listening live right now, and there's a live chat, and they're talking to each other. And in a span of 10 laps, you have changed several people's opinion of the Legends division over there at Canandaigua.
really?
Yeah. I mean, there's a number of people that thought that it was just a waste of time. And between how you won, the story of having run in the 70s and then coming back to it, and the reason that you came back to it, and what you shared in Victory Lane, and you talked about being a spokesman and increasing awareness. You've done that for your division for sure, not to mention the melanoma stuff as well. That's
Well, it sounds like that's what the class initially, Jeremy's thought probably was designed for somebody like yourself who's been away for 30-some years.
It could be, or for people who want to go from the street pure stock up into the sportsman's
Right.
rank, which I think it's a great avenue.
They can get experience
It's
and
a
not
great
be
avenue.
shoved right into the class.
I
full
I
bore.
mean, from one to another, the cars are pretty much the same. There's not that much
there's
no difference, right?
no-
It's the
there's
same
no
car.
Right,
difference.
if you had to, you could take your car basically and go run with the sportsman this Saturday, right?
Yep, purely identical. Yep, there's
But
no
just the
difference.
experience factor. And
Just the experience factor.
Yeah, then you're running with the wolves.
Right.
Those guys are a bad bunch of dudes up there. man.
Oh, they are. It's a dog-eat-dog world with them guys. Believe me. I've watched it, and it's yeah, I think someday down the road that it will happen.
By
sure.
August.
You never know.
at this rate, it could be by the end of May.
Well, my daughter graduates from Oswego. My youngest daughter, Lacey, May 18th. So I won't be.
You missed that week?
I'll be missing that week too. So
there's two.
There's
He's
two.
getting it all figured
There's
out.
two of them. So
You get enough of those, you can make it to September.
But there is a goal, though. I do want to go down to the Rolling Wheels race
Yep.
for the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Because Mike McLaughlin is going to be up here, and Mike and my grandfather were. Mike would bug my grandfather a lot. I mean, just Givo is a good friend of mine who I worked at Gould's with for 30-some years, and Givo would always tell me, yeah, Mike was seeing your grandfather and busting his ass and so on and so forth. So knowing that the color scheme that I got is, of course, is his color scheme from the NASCAR.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Nice.
And
Nice.
I was able to have Gould's give me permission to use that design.
That was
Nice.
was that the Welliver owned car?
What's that?
Was that the Welliver owned car?
Yeah,
Yes.
CC
Yep.
Welliver on that.
Yep. So
John didn't know that I could actually go that deep.
Yeah, who knew? You don't
Nobody.
watch racing.
yeah. So and I didn't realize that Dan Pallet did that design. So it was a pretty easy fix to put it on my sportsman's
cool.
car. So
Nice.
That's awesome.
So which, to be honest with you, I've had a lot of people say how nice the car does look, and he did a great job with it.
Yeah, well, they do nice work over
Yes,
there.
they
anyway.
do, very much so.
Yep.
Yep.
There's a guy out in Utica just posted, and I can't. We call him the fan. I don't even remember what his name is. You remember? You know who I'm talking about from Utica?
Oh,
guy
the
who-
one that showed up
Yeah,
at the live show,
at
the first live show.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, that guy. He's in. He goes by CNY Auto Freak, and he says
Yes.
he never gets any place other than Utica, but he's got a driver now that he's pulling for at a different home track.
That's awesome.
That's great. That's great. Thank you very much.
Nice.
His name was John, isn't it?
I think it might.
think
have
it
been. I don't remember. I really don't remember his name. He's just a fan. I see his face on Facebook and everything. Chalk it up the fan.
My sister-in-law works at Newark High School, and she had one young
It is John.
guy come up to her and said that he was excited about going to the races, and she indicated that my brother-in-law is going to be racing the sportsman's division. He said, "Oh yeah, who is it is?" and so on and so forth. And he came to the race, and he was all gung-ho and cheering for me and everything. And he came back to the Newark school and says, "Do you think Ray would give me an autograph picture?" And so, and I said, "Wow!" I said, if that right there, if I do nothing the rest of my life, I've made somebody. I've got a fan.
Yep.
I truly do have a fan.
Yep.
So I gave him 2 pictures and a hat, and
Oh, that's wicked.
And
Nice.
he put him on both shoulders and really made his day. And then the night of the win, I went out in the stands and I had a picture taken with him side by side. So,
that's
cool.
awesome.
So you still work at Gould's, right?
Yes. Yep.
So what was Monday like? How many of those guys actually knew?
How many knew?
How many knew?
Not many. Only a few that I had texted.
Right.
But more people did know as word started to spread real quickly.
Right.
But, I just recently met Dave Marcacciulli, so Dave works second shift, and so what I was trying to do is get with our publications and our marketing group, communications group, and see if they will allow us to put both Dave's car and my car out in front of the corporate office one day.
Right.
Oh, cool.
And they do a public article for the whole business group worldwide.
That's awesome.
And one of them is what I like to see is present and past race car drivers who have worked at Gould's Pumps.
Right.
So,
Sure.
I'm pushing for that. So and I'm going to continue to push for that.
That'd be cool.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Just trickle out what date that might be, because Jay's going to make sure he's there to take about 8,000 pictures.
I'd love to take pictures of something like that. That'd be pretty cool, man.
I'll let you know.
Please do.
Once I find out.
We're at some point, and we don't have a date down, and Jay and John have both alluded to this too. We're eventually at some point going to have another one of the race parties like we did last year, and this time we're going to do everything we can to record it at Amy's Checker Play. we had Bobby Ellison on last year, Ron Fellows on last year. We had Mike McLaughlin,
Magic Shoes,
Johnny Podolak, and we had just
My mentor.
That was an awesome show.
Yeah, and nobody knows it exists.
Yeah. We had a technical difficulty. We did the live show right at Amy's Checkered Flag in the bar, and like he said, we had some people on the phone, and then a bunch of people were
Dean
there
Reynolds
in
was
person.
It was such a party.
And we had a technical difficulty. It never got recorded.
Yep, everything. Well, it's not even so much that it got recorded, but there was a failure in the equation, and it was just basically static.
Oh, you could hear static. It was bad.
And I don't know how much you buy into the whole afterlife thing, but Amy and John over there told me we could have told you that was going to happen before you started, and they went into some of the different stories about some of the weird things that have gone on in that place.
Really?
Oh, that's haunted.
Yeah, and they're like, we knew. We knew.
You do this after the racing season, correct?
well, I mean, where I was going with that was not only were you obviously by all means an open invitation. We'd love to have you there, but if you could bring the car over, park it out front.
Oh yeah,
be more than glad to do that. Be more than glad.
That way, the Hall of Fame doesn't have to horse around and drag one out of the show.
We still might, anyways.
That car that I drove back in the '70s was built in '71 for John Podolak. He drove it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he drove it in '71, and then I believe '72 and '3 was driven by Johnny McCardle.
He was there too.
Yeah, he was.
Yep.
Yes, he was.
Johnny, I became real close with Johnny. He came to my high school graduation and my wedding, and so he was a great guy. Both of them were very, very big in part of my race in the '70s, along with Frank Podolak. There was a character. That man was a character, but a great individual. Those three individuals, along with Stevie and Bobby Podolak, really helped me out a lot in those that short racing career. Yeah. So, and I do. I haven't talked to John Podolak lately, but I did friend him on Facebook, and he did friend me back. So sooner or later, I will get a hold of John.
I saw him this weekend. He was at Oswego on Saturday, so he and I had a chance to talk. And he always comes to all of our events at the Hall of Fame. He's a super guy just to have around. You know what I mean?
Oh, he is. He's a great individual. And the one thing that I'll never forget him telling me when the first night I drove, which was at Rolling Wheels, and I went out for the hot laps and came in 2 laps, and my brother goes to me, "What's wrong?" I says, "I don't feel right," and lifted up my shield, and I had just both of my nose were just running with blood.
Oh man!
So he ran to the truck and grabbed cotton, threw him up my nose, slapped my shield down, says, "Get your ass back out on the track." So, but one thing that Johnny always told me, he says, "Don't let people push you around."
Yep.
You know, go out there regardless if you're a rookie or not, and
Well, yeah, because if you let them, they'll keep doing it.
That's
right.
Me and Mr. Ron Narducci almost went at it one night in the pits.
I think Ron was there too, or he was supposed to be there at Amy's.
The place, it was awesome.
I don't remember.
Yeah, everybody and their brothers.
It was the best show we
the
ever
Narducci's
had.
were there, yeah.
That show that
Of course.
that wasn't videotaped.
Nobody saw.
No,
Couldn't hear it.
It was the best show we've ever had, and no one can dispute it.
Plenty of
Right.
pictures. Plenty of pictures. I took all kinds of photos.
It was a great show.
It was.
Bobby Allison called us on the phone. He was on his way to New Hampshire, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was
Right.
on his way to Loudon.
Yep.
And we
That's
got him
wild.
to. He a couple times he was like, "What? I'm not getting into this." It was pretty cool. Oh yeah, Mike McLaughlin's mom and his aunt.
Yes,
remember when that?
they were there.
They were
While
there.
we had Mike
They were
on
there.
the phone.
We had Mike on the phone, and they didn't have a microphone, but they came and they stood right at the edge of the table. So the only thing you could see on the camera that was set up was the backs of their heads, because they're only like this tall.
right.
and they're talking to us, telling us stories about what was it, like a refrigerator door or something like
Yes.
that? It was great.
Really?
And Mike's on the phone. He can only kind of half hear what they're saying, and it was a riot.
It was a great show.
He was probably saying a few
It
words
was.
underneath his
Oh,
breath.
Buzzy Rudiman. Buzzy Rudiman was on that show too.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
That's a name from the. Did you have Will Cagle?
No.
No, Will.
No,
No, Will.
no, Will.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, no.
It's not surprising.
Yep.
He had a personality of a wall.
Yeah. we won't go there.
Amen.
One man though, that if he was back on the track, I owe him one. I owe him one. He threw.
Well,
me.
he still does race.
Oh, I know he does. I know he
He's not
does.
here.
But I wish he was up there. But I was at Rolling Wheels on a hot lap, and it was just me and him in the whole area. And he was behind me. I knew he was behind me, and for some reason we went into one. And next thing you knew, I'm halfway out in the boondocks.
Good Lord.
And it's like, and I went up to him after. He said, "You're a rookie." He says, "You're young.
Yeah,
You're stupid and foolish." He goes, "You need to learn."
That sounds
Jeepers,
like
great.
his
Wow.
attitude.
You know. So
He was a miserable. What? Call?
Yeah, we got to get Jeff. We're a little late for Jeff, but we'll get him on and I hope you stay. And
yeah, I got nothing else. But
how is the car now? I mean, is it
Cars, we got it all back together last night. We got to just basically put the rims on it and the tires on it, and we're not even going to go ahead and scale it. So it's basically put the tires back on it and ready to go.
Any adjustment of getting back into the routine of doing the maintenance on the car and all that kind of stuff during the week? The weekends are fun, but during the week kind of be a drag maybe.
It's a totally different pre-race what you have to do to these cars. I mean, one thing that Brian told me, he said you basically got to, as soon as you get done, when you wake up Sunday morning, just tear the bodies off and power wash them down and basically re-lube and, just go through everything and check everything and re-grease. And back in them days, you just didn't do that stuff. You basically shook it off and blew it off with an air hose and just went at it. Nobody ever washed them that I ever remember. So, but yeah, it's a lot longer routine now. Mm-hmm. A lot longer routine.
I get such a kick out of when you leave the racetrack. All the cars that are parked in those the car washes.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Can you imagine the mess those guys have to come into?
God,
Because, the 24-hour car wash, you don't know what's going on in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
The sprint cars, it's like, oh, man. Got to dread that.
Yeah.
Race cars not welcome.
Yeah. Eventually that'll happen, too. No, I take it right to the farm and put the power washer on it and do it right there.
That's the way to do her.
Yeah.
What kind of power washer do you have?
Troy-Bilt, 2,700 PSI.
Amen to that. You're not messing around with that thing.
No, it's
Good Lord.
something that we've had for a
Yeah.
while. So,
What do you have on the farm? And what do you do on the...
well, it's my brother and I own the family farm of 100 acres, and my wife and I own another 100
So
acres.
crop?
It's a crop, cash crop. We don't farm it; we rent it out. But that was the other thing, that it was either between going back to farming, which is another kind of passion I like to do, or racing. But to be honest with you, it's 5 times as much it costs to start a farm back up than it is to get a race car going. So.
Mm-hmm.
But I was also fortunate enough to get quite a few sponsors, so which has helped out tremendously.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
He didn't know?
Somebody was supposed to confirm yesterday with him and they never did.
Oh.
So I was surprising him.
That's all right. We can surprise him. Well, I guess we surprised Jeff Hachmann a little bit. I was talking back and forth with Julia Foy as far as I knew we were good to go. So, Jeff, I apologize for the surprise, but welcome to the 31st lap once again.
No surprise at all. Always good when you guys call.
How's your off season back?
Not much of an off season in our world. I left here in November and went down to DIRTcar Nationals and went from there to PRI and IMIS and came back to see Santa Claus for a couple weeks and back down to Florida January 2nd. And stayed there right through the beginning of March, and left DIRTcar Nationals at the beginning of March, went to Vegas for 8 days for that 2-day World of Outlaws Sprint Car show, and then down to Tucson for their show, and back out to California, Stockton and Chico for some more sprint car shows, and came home for a couple days and went out to Farmer City for the late models.
Nice.
So, finally back in the swing of things, getting ready for the Northeast up here.
Before we get into too much stuff, I just want to ask you quick, since you mentioned you went to that Stockton show. They just recently put that dirt down on that track. How was that show? Was it good?
It was a great show. It was probably the biggest crowd at a track like that I've ever seen. There was probably close to 10,000 people, so it was electric. We were selling standing room only the last day.
Nice.
So that was pretty awesome. Track-wise, fast, really fast. Unfortunately or fortunately, there was a pretty good cushion, especially up in 1 and 2. Not only with some height, but so not very level at all. And I think we ended up flipping 11 cars that night. Ooh, 10 of them probably threw parts for all over the place.
Nice. Yeah, I know they.
So I guess some people would love that they were flipping, but you never want to take a chance of hurting any of those drivers.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, for those that don't know, Stockton 99 for years was a asphalt track, and they decided to put the dirt down, make it a dirt track, and brought in the Outlaws. So I was glad that went well.
The funny thing about it is they still have the asphalt track, and we were over there the day after. This was at the actual fairgrounds. But the people that run the asphalt track went over to the fairgrounds and built a dirt track.
Oh, so that wasn't on the pavement then?
No, not on the
pavement. Okay, so I misunderstood that then. I thought it was on the pavement.
No.
So now they got both.
Yep. So,
nice.
I mean, pretty successful show. The guy was already asking to do 2 shows next year. So actually wanted them to come back this year.
Good deal.
So. But yeah, it was a great event, and the area really rallied around the World of Outlaws sprints, and it doesn't hurt when you have Tony Stewart there, and putting on a show, and I think he was in the redraw both nights, and both Chico and Stockton, and just some great racing.
Yep, absolutely. So you got some things that are coming up here. You're home now, huh?
Yeah, I'm home, working out of the Weedsport office still, and getting ready for Rolling Wheels, June 5th, Super DIRTcar Series season opener. We'll have it's a DIRTcar Sportsman Series race also, and we'll have the Mid-State Vintage Stock Car Club. It really all starts the night before, on Tuesday night here at the Hall of Fame, where we'll have our 2013 induction ceremony, kind of primetime style.
Yeah, that's. I'm glad they're doing it like that. I like that they're doing it on a separate night and kind of have its own night. I like that.
It has its own night, and it's still tied to the track. We'll still have the Hall of Famers over, part of the pre-race, and signing autographs, and combination of that, being the series opener, being a Wednesday night where nothing's competing. That was the toughest thing with Memorial Day weekend. You weren't just competing with the local events. You're competing with Coca-Cola 600, Indy 500, and believe it or not, every person affects the success of an event. So.
Yep, absolutely.
But we're excited about it. It's midweek, and I'm glad you brought that up. And it's Wednesday night, and we're making sure that we're putting that on all our collateral and all our advertising, because I think it's important, because there was confusion, All-Star Weekend, Hall of Fame, what's this, what's that, and now we got midweek on top of it.
I know you've been busy over there at Rolling Wheels. I went by there about a week and a half ago, and I saw you riding around on the mower.
You caught me on the mower?
Yes, I did. I saw you. Just happened to be going by.
I'm actually glad that you caught me because I think everybody thinks that I just sit behind a desk and do nothing.
Well, I saw the mower way
Why
off
did you
in
not
the
take
distance.
A picture of that? I mean, that would have been great.
He was
31st lap.
He was
Facebook
way
stuff.
off in the distance from Route 5, so you couldn't really tell who it was on the mower. You just saw the mower and somebody was on it. The only reason I know it was him because I saw your car, so I knew it was you.
Yep. Yep, I woke up on a Saturday morning. It was a beautiful day,
Yes.
and I said it's time to get this place looking good. And
Yeah, it was 2 Saturdays ago.
hopped on the mower.
Yep, I saw you.
We're getting the place ready to go, trying to keep up with the grass, and I guess you would say the dandelions now because once you cut them, those things just pop right up. And we're making all a couple little improvements and a couple little changes, and just getting everything ready to go. And I'll be over there. I don't know about this weekend, but I'll be over there the following 3 weekends, getting that place ready to go.
Nice.
What's the biggest improvement that people can look forward to?
Well, I think one of the cool things that we're going to do, and I guess we'll make it an exclusive release because it was going to come out next week, is we're creating a first aid station over in the grandstand area for the fans. I think that's a cool addition that, instead of trying to get cut off a race director over the radio to say somebody got hurt or needs some help over in the grandstand area, we'll have that. We're doing some painting upgrades, and I got another little exciting piece that I don't really want to release yet. I will not release it until that day when they show up, if I can make it happen. So I think it'll be pretty cool. It's something that people see all the time on some of the, let's say, bigger races.
Nice.
So just regular facility upgrades. Nothing. I'm not building a new building, or I'm not putting 10 more suites on. I mean, we are building some more billboards on the front stretch, and that's a good sign of the support in the area. And as always, whether it be mowing the grass or fresh paint or whatever it is, I like that place to look like it's brand new.
Are things getting, I don't know if easier is the right word. I can't quite. Are things running a little bit more on autopilot? Or are they becoming easier to get prepared now that you guys have been there for a couple of years?
Operationally, maybe a little bit. I don't want to say easier because if we get ahead of the game with something, like the last 2 years, we've made a big push on some upgrading some signage and some entrance features and stuff like that. When I sit down and think about it over the winter, I don't say, okay, we're done. I say, okay, what can we do new this year?
Right.
Last year we brought in the addition of the Safety Clean Environmental Service Station in the pits, which I don't think you find that anywhere else other than a NASCAR track, where they have the opportunity to go get brake cleaner or utilize a parts washer or dispose of a filter or oil, just like you would see in a NASCAR garage. So easier is the regular stuff's easier. But we're always looking to do something new. So, that always takes a little bit extra work. Promoting of an event, I still think, although we're getting better and more fans are starting to grasp this sport beyond, like, I'm a Brewerton fan, I'm a Rolling Wheels fan, I only go to this track, and really understanding that the brand has some of the best drivers in the country, and they're all over, and they need to be there. I think, that's where I try to change it up every year. I mean, I don't stick with the same advertising spots. I don't put them on the same stations. I'm always trying something new, and I guess I can release this. It's something new that I'm doing this year. Is I found out that the U.S. Postal Service, they allow you to promote through them, and you can put a flyer with a mail carrier, and he'll hit whatever route you want in whatever area. And I've created a neighborhood appreciation program for the Weedsport, Jordan, Elbridge area that all those homes, which is about 5,100 in this area, just I don't know if anybody even knows that or cares to know, but I thought that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
5,100. Just after Memorial Day, we'll receive a flyer in the mail and present the flyer at the gate and save $5 on the ticket for them and their guests.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Great idea.
So that's kind of a new way, and I'm working closely with the Center State CEO to do a group ticket program for all the companies that are members of the Center State CEO and Chamber of Commerce program in Syracuse. So, kind of thanking the fans and appreciating the neighbors, and also reaching out to the local businesses and say, hey, not only can you reward your clients or your employees, but come out and see what we can offer to you to help build your business.
Yep, that's a great idea.
But
do you
easier is a tough word. Yeah, yes and no. I have to answer that.
You answered it quite well. I mean, I didn't like using the word easier, but the correct word wasn't coming to me.
Yeah.
Having the opportunity to be there, Jeff, what are some of your thoughts on everything that came out of the Farmers City race?
Everything that came out of it. I know where you want me to go with this. I know what you're looking for. It was a great race.
It sure was. And the local won. And then we had to go to the petition board, but the win still stands. He just forfeits his money and he can't compete now.
Yeah, again, you guys are always good for this. You know what my answer is going to be here.
Yeah, I know.
Call Joe.
If you,
Call Joe.
That's right. Call Joe.
I didn't want the dirt stance. I just wanted yours. You were there. You can be a race fan
It
too.
was great. It was a great race, and it was great that the local fans went crazy, and a great track. Unfortunately, that night, beyond the local winning, it was a tough night for all of us in Central New York because I had the game on the computer and had to watch Syracuse just not play the game they should have against Michigan.
That was dreadful.
That was probably the worst part of the night.
Yep. That was dreadful.
That was Final Four night for anybody who's forgotten. I was in Farmer City, Illinois on a computer watching a race and a basketball game. But no, great race, and, he's a great driver, and he put on a great show, and, unfortunately, that's why there's rules, and, I'm not going to get into the details of the rules, and, but obviously he was deemed illegal, and he is, went to the petition board, and
that didn't pan out for him either.
Didn't work out.
Didn't work out.
No.
Didn't work out.
Well, there was a rash there for a couple 3 weeks with late model racers getting in trouble for illegal tires, because that wasn't the only race. Of course, Jimmy Owens got in trouble at one of the races he had run. I think it was an NDRL race or something that he got nailed for wrong tires or whatever, the doctored tires, whatever the problem was. But there was like a rash of it there for a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But looking, they had a couple rainouts too, and looking for them to get in full gear, and always like watching the late models. Especially when we got a couple hometown favorites. Run pretty good in that series.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, we've kept you for a little while, and we saved the hard one for last. Is there anything that you wanna plug again before we let you go for the night? And we hope to catch up with you again in a couple of weeks as we move towards that race at Rolling Wheels.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. It's just a great time of the year, and great time of the year. With the series starting, and 358s will be starting, and I always. The year's already really started. I was out at Albany, Saratoga, doing a little pre-work, and I'm gonna be a little bit more active with getting out to some tracks. Joe does a great job of getting out to all the tracks, not just when he's at a track every weekend, if not two, if not three, and I'm going to kind of do a little bit of that, and so the season's in full gear, and Brett Hearn's already dominating Lebanon Valley, so the season started.
Yep.
And Brewerton had a great show, and it was cool to see Peter Britton out at Albany, Saratoga, and he actually ran pretty good the opening night. I was out there. I think he ran third.
Yeah, he was third the first night.
So the season's in full gear, and we got the World of Outlaw Sprints coming to Orange County here May 19th, so that's kind of cool. And then we got the 358 race, Merrittville on the 20th, and not just plug. I'd like to sit here and do the answer. Let's plug Rolling Wheels, but let's just plug DIRTcar racing.
Absolutely.
Let's plug all the tracks. I mean, it's awesome. Jeremy's doing great out there in Canandaigua. Unfortunately, I haven't been out there yet, but I stay in contact with him, and he told me what's going on, and I'm just looking forward to getting our series in gear and getting our season going and be a part of everything. And we're already starting working on Super Dirt Week. So
you were working on Super Dirt Week last
October.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Yeah, so Super Dirt Week never ends. So it's just it's exciting to see everybody again and get back in the groove and just be a part of it.
Well, we're working real close with Julia. I think we're going to have a couple 358 drivers. We're talking a little bit about Billy Dunn. Billy Dunn's name's come up. Dale Plank's come up. So we're going to have to see who we can get. I think they're going to be on the 16th as we move towards those 358 openers.
Yep, that's good. She's been keeping me up to date on that, so that's great. She's really in year 2 started to grasp getting the word out there. So it's great. As always, you can call Joe, myself, or Julia, and we'll make it happen for you. Looking forward to doing something similar with you guys at Super Dirt Week again, and Rolling Wheels, and I don't know. I think you were Rolling Wheels too, weren't you?
Yeah,
we were
the Outlaw Show.
We were doing like 3 shows a day.
Yeah.
It was all right. We got to get Julie on the show. She keeps telling me through the emails and stuff that we've been trading that she doesn't like to talk. She doesn't have much of a media personality.
Oh, she kind of caught me off guard, and she went on Joe Murata's radio show.
She was awesome. She was awesome.
So
live.
I turned it on.
Yep.
I turned it on, and
otherwise you wouldn't have.
It was pretty well.
She came into the Hall of Fame and did a live deal with a bunch of tough cookies too. She was at a table with, Roger Phelps. You probably remember Roger, right, Roy? And that ilk. That bunch, and they're a rugged bunch of dudes, and she held her own extremely well with that group, and she's come a long way, Jeff.
Didn't know you were on the phone.
I was being silent, man. I was in awe of all the plugs you were giving me at the Hall of Fame, man, with this Hall of Fame 60 coming up at Rolling Wheels Raceway Park. We're only 26 days away from the Hall of Fame.
Don't get them going.
27 for your show, brother.
I would have given you 3 or 4 more plugs if I knew you were on. I didn't know that only 2 or 3 were enough.
I just let it slide, man. I know you got my back.
we got a full house here today.
It's a great thing. I mean, it's great to do it in prime time. So, and we'll have I didn't even mention we're going to have a little a little appetizer, a little happy hour Hall of Fame style.
Yep.
That night, and
we got a band coming and everything.
Jay's the bartender.
Oh boy, I pour him thick too. Nice. You better be careful. You better have your big boy pants on.
Speaking of Hall of Famers, I know I want to give a shout out, and I want everybody to keep him in his prayers. But our man Harvey Fink, is fighting a rough time right now, and he's doing well. I talked to Larry today, and he's coming around, and we just need to keep on thinking about him because that's a pioneer that knows how to get it done up here in Central New York.
Yep.
Sure does.
Yep.
So that's all I got, boys.
All right.
Sounds cool.
Well, we'll catch up with you here in a couple of weeks, and we'll get those 358 drivers on next week as we get ready to head up to make that Canadian opener.
Sounds great. Bombus, I just sent you an email about 20 minutes ago, so check it when you get home.
All right, I will, sir.
Has to do with your job. Thanks again, Jeff.
Talk to you guys later.
Okay, man. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
There goes Jeff Hachmann, making his first appearance of the year, I believe, right?
You think he fired me in that email?
I don't. Well, it all depends on how big that PDF file is. I'd be nervous.
Nice.
Either that or maybe one hell of a raise.
Guess what, John?
That would be nice.
Yes, it would. Cost of living. Or cost of abuse.
Guess what, John? How are you at sponsor proposals? Look, I love putting John in here when he's fumbling around trying to do a bunch of stuff that I make him do, and then he's just like all over the place.
You gave me a number. Who am I calling anyway?
That is the shooter, Scott Kruetter. Okay. Obviously.
Scotty's a good kid, man. We put this thing together literally over text messages with his wife. He's down working on his brand new house. And apparently it's in the middle of Dog Spot, New York somewhere. I'm Dog Patch. Am I pronouncing that right? They just built a new house down there. I'm assuming they got running water down in his part of the world, but apparently no cell phone reception. But he's gracious enough to be able to come on with us here in the next few minutes. We'll be talking a little bit about the Patriot Sprint Tour. They've got a couple of races under their belts already in 2013. Supposed to be 3 of them, but unfortunately the Methanol Meltdown, look out, Roy. Methanol Meltdown got snowed out or washed out in some way, shape, or form over at the Fulton Speedway back on the 13th of April. But they were able to get up to Canada at the Merrittville Speedway, where Steve Poirier was able to hold off Justin Barger for the win. Jason Barney took 3rd that day. 4th place was Mitch Brown, and Tommy Wickham rounded out the top 5. Last weekend at the Black Rock Speedway, Friday, May 3rd, looks like Justin Barger was your winner down there, holding off Robbie Stillwagon, Jason Barney, Jared Zimbardi, and Brian Holland. Scotty Kruetter finished in the top 10 on both of those occasions. And we've got Scotty on the phone right about now. Scott Kruetter, your defending 2012 Patriot Sprint Tour champion, is on the line with us, coming to us live from where, Scotty? Where are you at, brother?
I'm in Colesville, New York right now.
Dang. Down in Colesville, huh? Is that where the new place is at, Scotty?
Yes, it is.
I had the luxury of talking to your wife today, and she said that you were going to have to get together some aluminum foil and a large antenna off an old RCA TV to make this thing happen. I really appreciate you doing it.
No problem. Yeah, I'm standing on top of a hill right now with a big, holding a big antenna so I can talk to you guys.
That's why I love this guy. See, that's why I love
Ray,
Kruetter.
Can you relate?
Yeah. Yep. Very much so. That is the old time way.
Is the sun still shining? It's not getting dark out there, is it?
Any clouds in the skies?
It's getting dark. I got some reflective gear on, too, so I don't get hit, so it's all right.
If you hear banjo music, feel free to just cut off the line with us. We'll totally understand.
Did you have to go door to door to your neighbors to make sure the party line was open so we could call you?
No, there are no neighbors, so we're good.
That is awesome. Well, you got a couple of top 10s under your belt already this season on the Patriot Sprint Tour. Talk to us about your last race at the Black Rock Speedway. Looks like you finished 6th in that race. Talk to us about your night at Black Rock Speedway.
Yeah, we had an R8 heat race. We made it into the redraw, which really sets up your night. If you plan on having a good night, it's really beneficiary to start up in that top 8. So we started 5th, and I thought we really had something for the win beginning of the race. We went from 5th, and coming out of turn 4, I believe we took over 2nd and ran there for a little bit, and then we got past. We ran the top 3 till about lap 11 or 12, and then the car started to go away on me, and we faded back to 6th. But when I come in, we did have a tire going down. It lost about 3 to 4 pounds, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it or what, but last 2 times we've been out, we faded back a little. We've been up to 2nd both times, so hopefully we can start getting the end results a little better.
Is Woodhull is that the place for you to get that done this coming Saturday night?
I sure hope so. Last time we were there, we were in a backup car, and the time before that we had a pretty good battle with Chuck for the win, and my left front torsion arm broke off. So hopefully the bad luck ends and we can pull off a win there, because we usually run pretty good.
It's kind of a track unto itself down there at Woodhull. That turn 1 is about like jumping off the top of a skyscraper going back down into 2, right?
It is. It's a very unique racetrack. It's unlike anything else you've ever driven. You got to be very aggressive up on the wheel, but it's definitely a racy little track.
Awesome stuff. Now, looking ahead in the season, you've got kind of a busy month of May going on. You guys are going to be down in Pennsylvania tail end of the month. Talk to us about the following 3 races you guys are going to be doing at Bradford, E-Res, and Raceway 7. Any luck at any of those tracks? Maybe you can start to build at Woodhull and finish off the month of May getting towards the top of the point standings to reclaim your championship again in 2013.
Yeah, definitely. I've never been to 2 of them tracks. I've been to Erie's, and that's one of my favorite tracks. I got 2 wins there and a 2nd my last 3 times there. And the 2nd we started, I think, about 18th or 19th. also just ran out of laps. So we've had quite the roll at Erie, so I'm really looking forward to going back there.
Now talk about this car you're in now. That's still for the Todd Hoddick machine. You're still running under that car owner?
Yep, I'm still driving for Trey and Todd Hoddick. They, I can't say enough about them guys for giving me the opportunity to defend my title and be back in one of their cars. It's definitely a great opportunity.
And they're racers, too, so they kind of get your deal, you know what I mean? You've got your own business and your own life kind of going on in addition to that, so they're probably real good to work with as far as maintenance throughout the week to get this thing ready to go on the weekends.
Yeah, definitely. Usually we work on the cars on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I spent some extra time over there on Tuesday to get the car done because we closed on our house today, so I had some stuff over there to do, but we're ready to go for Woodhull, and it's real flexible. The shop's only about 20 minutes from my house, so it works out real convenient.
Congratulations on the new house, man. And now, of course, you probably got to thank some of your sponsors for getting this thing done, in addition to your great car owners, Trey and Todd Hoddick.
Yeah, definitely. Airport Collision, Fiberworks, Casey's Truck Salvage, all the guys that help out on the car. I couldn't do it without them guys, so definitely a big thanks to all them.
Scotty Kruetter and the entire Patriot Sprint Tour will be in action this Saturday night at the Woodhull Raceway. Everybody can check them out at patriotsprinttour.com. And if you want to come on down to the race and see Scotty and the boys racing, get started at 6:30 p.m. Hot laps will go off, obviously, before that. And Scotty's always available to talk to young fans. Hey, thanks for being on today, Scotty.
Whoa, no! You can't let him go yet.
Oh, you were giving me the old high sign there. Sorry about that.
Hot laps are 4, I thought.
Oh, hot laps are 4.
Yeah, they're a little bit early.
That's
I
real
thought,
early.
But I could be wrong.
How do you feel about that, Scotty? Having hot laps so early for a race night?
Is it?
Does that make sense to you?
I thought it.
I really don't. I try not
that.
to plan. Try not to plan anything on race day. So I usually get. We go to breakfast every Saturday morning. So after breakfast, we head right over to the shop and finish up whatever needs to be done on the car and head over to the track. So whatever the time they tell me to be there, I'll be there. Pretty flexible.
How did the shooter nickname come about?
You got to ask Jay about that. I don't know. One day he come over and told me that my new nickname was the Straight Shooter. So
the Straight Shooter, Scotty Kruetter. Just sounds good.
Oh, okay.
It just rolls off the tongue, don't it?
Like it does roll off the tongue. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to argue with that.
They better not. They better not.
He's the mastermind behind that.
Do you like it?
Yeah. It's like Gary Tompkins' nickname, the Terminator. It's not based on anything other than a letter. Do you like the nickname?
Do you like it?
Yeah, it's all right. I don't know. I guess.
Have you embraced it?
During the time when they say it, I got my helmet on. I'm in the car, so I can't hear it anyways. I did race a TQ midget at Lancaster Speedway on Saturday, and there was a red flag, and I'm sitting on the front stretch, and somebody in the stands is yelling, "Straight Shooter!"
It must have stuck.
Oh my God.
He got it for life.
Yeah, I don't think you're shaking it now, like it or not.
Yeah, no, it's sticking. So.
Amen to that.
So you're racing a TQ midget? Was that the first time?
You've got. By the way, I'm just
Nice
going to give you
got my attention.
Scott, I'm giving you fair warning right now. You're going to be on the phone for another half hour talking about TQ midgets with John. Just so you know. You should have brought a launcher out there to the hill.
How do you know he doesn't have one already? So was that your first time in a
Nothing
TQ?
No, I drove one a couple years ago. I drove one for Vinny Cristiano, and then I went down to Atlantic City this year for Mel Rab.
Yeah.
We actually did pretty well with the thing, except for going into the last corner. We were qualified, and I lost my brakes and took out about 3 cars, so they disqualified me for the night. So put me, we wrecked a few people, but it wasn't intentional. So we had to go and run the C main. We won that, and then we were qualified in the B main, and about 5-6 laps to go. A couple cars in front of me jammed up and broke a left front torsion arm and or radius rod. So we didn't end up making the show, but they're definitely fun cars to drive. And I was also driving for Mel Rab again Saturday at Lancaster. So whenever it fits in the schedule and I'm not doing any sprint car stuff, it's always fun to hop in on things.
Yep. Well, they tear a lot of those up at the indoor shows for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely
it's a different kind of racing.
It is. It's you got to go there not expecting not to get run into. Which being a sprint car driver, it's really It's not something you're used to,
Right.
but after you get hit a couple times, it makes you get aggressive and get up on the wheel, and you just got to understand that that's the type of racing you're doing, and adapt to it. And if you can be aggressive, and maintain and be able to finish. I mean, even if don't have the fastest car and you stay out of trouble, you're probably going to make the show, and you'll be all right.
Yep. When you go to the indoor shows for the TQs, you really have to almost leave your ego and your anger at the door. Just when you go there, leave it at the door and just let it. Whatever happens, happens, because that's the way they race.
Oh yeah. If you go there with any intentions of not getting run into and getting upset, you might as well not even go, because you're just going to be miserable the whole time you're there.
Absolutely. Yep. They're entertaining to watch. I know that.
It's definitely entertaining, and it's a lot of fun to drive them things indoors.
Yeah, I would love to do that. That'd be awesome, man.
You'd like to get in any race car, though, wouldn't you?
I would.
I mean,
absolutely.
I don't think you're going to be real picky.
No. No. But I would never turn down a midget. No way.
No. I think
would never turn down anything either. I'll drive anything.
I hear sportsman cars are affordable, and you can win early on.
I'm not paying for nothing.
No, okay.
I can't afford it.
So how's married life treating you, Scotty? I got to talk to your wife a little bit today on the old text message. How's married life treating you? Seems to be pretty good. You guys are building a new house and stuff like that together.
Yeah, no, it's going great. I made it a little over a year and a half.
Amen to that. It seems
that's not a milestone.
It is in my book. I already burned up one of these deals, Scotty. Don't take any tips from me. If I ever try to offer you any marriage advice, tell me where to stick it.
Oh, man.
You got a deal?
I couldn't do it without the great looking at the great photos every day.
Oh man, I appreciate that.
Yeah, Jay Fish.
Scott Kruetter celebrating 1 year of marriage, but to be honest, he admits that it feels like forever.
Well, you guys have been going together for a long time before you guys get married. She's kind of into the whole deal at this point.
What's a long time? I got to hear this.
Ooh, I better get this where you guys aren't recording this.
I got to hear.
Oh, it's recording. It's going live right now.
I got to hear this. What's a long time before you got married?
3 years, I think.
That's not a long time. Are you kidding me?
Pretty long time.
That's nothing, dude.
Long time.
She was right in the trenches with
My wife and I were together 12 years before I married her. That's a long time.
Yeah,
that is a long time.
Yeah, wave that banner, John.
Hey,
I don't think I could have made it. I don't think I could have made it 12 years without.
Jay didn't. Don't worry.
I did.
That's right. You done good, Scotty. She's a heck of a girl.
32
It
for
definitely
me.
is.
32
She
years.
lets me race. Wow. That's the first thing my mom said to her when she came over and met her was, my mom says, "I hope you like racing."
Yep.
A lot of relationships had that as one of the first questions.
You might as well get it out of the way right away.
Yep. If the answer is no, time to move on.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Nice. Now what?
Cameron's
Jay, you got anything left?
I got nothing. Scotty, you got anything else you want to plug while you're on with us, brother? Are you going to be, where can people go see other than this sprint tour? You're going to be doing a lot of midget racing whenever you get a chance, obviously. We're going to catch you at Woodhull this weekend. Where can we see after that? Just more Patriot sprint tour stuff? You're going to be racing ESS races or anything else?
That's really up to my car owner. What we're definitely doing all the Patriot stuff. Obviously, I would love to race every night of the week if I could. So whatever I'm doing with the sprint car stuff, if I'm not racing, I'll try to get in the TQ, or if there's any other rides or anything available, I definitely will hop in and go racing. But other than that, I think for the sprint car stuff, it's just going to mainly be the Patriot sprint tour stuff, and then I think if ESS is close to our shop, obviously we'll hit it up. But if stuff that's out of the way, I think we're just kind of going to stick with the Patriot stuff for now.
Fair enough.
No reason not to. It's been working for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to where we're located, and the tracks that we race are pretty close to the shop, so that makes that's a big part of it, just being location.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, we sure do appreciate you making time for us. We'll let you get back in the house, and you can put that antenna down, and we look forward to catching up with you here soon.
All right, hey, thanks guys for having me.
Thanks, you got it, man. Good luck.
See you on Saturday, bro.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
So you are going down.
All right,
there.
now I'm a fan.
Yeah.
He's a really.
Now we got to get him in a dirt midget.
Yeah. If I could pick one turning point in that conversation that made you a fan of Scott Kruetter, did it have anything to do with TQ?
As soon as he said midget, that was
There's
enough
2
for me.
letters in that interview.
I'm always a fan of anybody who gets in a midget.
I think that's what's cool about this sport, man. We get to hang out with Roy. We get to talk to guys like Scotty. Hachmann comes on. He's a pretty decent.
His name's Ray, dude.
Sorry, Ray. Jesus Christ.
I was thinking it was Ray, and then when he said Roy a little while ago, I'm thinking maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I've been called worse.
I wasn't sure.
Son of a gun. But we get to hang out with these guys that are, they're decent dudes. They're work-a-day guys. Scotty works a day job, goes out and wins a Patriot Sprint Tour. This guy here next to us,
Jeff Hachmann. Jeff Hachmann mows lawns.
He's mowing his lawns, chewing his tobacco. I mean, that's how you know it's Hachmann. If he's mowing the lawn and there's a string of red man behind him, it's usually a pretty good indicator that he's been out cutting the grass.
Yep. Speaking of ARDC and some midgets, I was at Port Royal for the very first time Saturday.
Oh right, I forgot all about that.
With ARDC, it was a good show. Good show. I like the place. I'm really now anxious to go there. As a fan, it's a typical. I know Mallet, he's not here, but he's been there several times. Port Royal is a typical 410 sprint car track down in PA. They got, it's a big, fast half mile, but they got the infield all fenced off like they do at Lincoln and in the Grove and such, where the fans can go through the tunnel and go over in the infield and sit in their lawn chair with a cooler full of beer. And
does that track have a bump at the crossover? On that
I didn't notice one. No. The tunnel, if I remember correctly, was going into one. I didn't notice one.
It's one of the first things I always look at a track with one of those is there a hump? Where everything settles or something like that. And, how do the cars sit when they go into the corner? If that affects them.
I didn't notice anything, but I had to watch being an ARDC official when they're out on the track. We get positioned in the infield so we can watch to make sure nobody's jumping. No rough driving. If there's an accident, we got the headsets. We can report on what's going on with the driver, how they're doing, what the issues are. If the driver's got any problems under yellow, hey, somebody's got a flat tire, you can notify them or whatever. During the heats, I was standing in turn 3, and then for the feature, I was at the exit of turn 2. So I really, if there is a bump, I didn't see it, but from my vantage point, it was tough to tell anyway. I didn't have a really good shot, like the front stretch or whatever, from where I was standing. But cool place. I would really like to go back there as a fan to be able to go hang out in the infield and stuff.
Have you ever ventured any of the Pennsylvania tracks? I mean, did you get other places, or is it basically Brewerton, Fulton, Rolling Wheels, Weedsport, Canandaigua, stuff like that?
I ran once or twice at Brewerton, never Fulton, Skyline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Been down there a couple times.
Huh.
Yep.
I actually, when Canandaigua would always rain out,
go to
Skyline. We never did. I don't remember ever going down to Black Rock or Woodhull at all.
Yeah.
Mainly back in them days, it was Friday night rolling wheels, Saturday night Canandaigua, Sunday rolling Weedsport.
Yep.
And
what about as a fan?
Yeah.
Did you ever get any? Of
the
those
last 30-some years. Where have you gone?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite track besides Canandaigua that you've gone to visit as a fan?
Rolling Wheels is one of my favorites. Very fast. You can stay right into it. Nice evolving corners where you really don't have to worry about going in sharp turning. Now,
they're long sweeping corners.
And I enjoy a long sweeping corner where you can just let the car hang out and go all at it. So
it's got to be interesting to watch a race from your perspective when you go to a track, because you've got that driving experience that lets you analyze the track a little bit different way than somebody like us who's from the media side, or somebody like John who originally came on as the voice of a fan and now he's official at every track that he's ever been to. So kind of change that perspective.
Don't get smart.
But I mean, you even alluded to your wife. She would watch you in the stands, and your foot was working. You were feathering the throttle as the cars were going through the corners and stuff like that. I mean, you're doing it now. I mean, whether you're consciously doing it or not.
Oh, the chemotherapy makes me a little jittery, and anxious. But the
31st lap powered by full throttle makes me jittery.
There you go.
You're jittery anyway.
But whenever I go to a track, I always analyze. I don't analyze anything on the straightaway. It's always a corner work. How a car gets in, how a car gets out, and again, it's,
they all handle fine down the straight.
Yeah, anybody can go straight line, but it's hide the car. You set the car up when you get in the corner, and it's amazing again today that watching the modifieds here in the last 2 or 3 years.
How technical they are, right?
Well, not technical, but I mean they got the cars hung out even before they get to the corner.
Yeah,
and they're just balls to the wall,
yep.
And something that just got to get on. Just got to get used to the car. You got to trust your car. Right, not the driving ability. Just say you gotta just trust the car.
Right.
So, it's there, and that's what I do. And no matter what class it is, it's just you analyze how people get in and how people get out.
Yep.
And that's how you win races. In and out of in a corner and out of a corner.
You know what that sounds like? Alan Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And, I remember, back in them days, and when Alan would be, I was 74, I was 17. And I think I'm 50, I'm going to be 57. And I think Alan's got to be, around 54, 55, somewhere in there. And literally, Alan was a great driver, and learned a lot by watching him and Danny. And but Alan would be playing with the kids and get in the car, So, but great driver. Won a lot of races down low. You don't see him doing.
He's always been a bottom feeder.
Yeah, he's not about show. It's about winning.
Yep.
And it's amazing how fast he can go on the bottom of a track.
Well, the typical Alan is when the track gets slicker, he gets quicker.
Exactly.
He's always been great at a slick.
Rolling wheels, it's always fascinating to watch him. He could basically unhook 2 plug wires from his engine and run faster than everybody.
Yeah.
Basically.
When the track gets slick, you don't need all that power. It's a burden.
Not at all.
At that point.
And back in my days, one of my favorite drivers was George Eli.
Oh, yeah.
My entourage back then, we called him Brass Balls.
Yeah.
A guy that could run the rail all the way around the track consistently, lap after lap after lap.
Mm-hmm.
Always had gorgeous cars and a great guy.
Yeah.
Very, very pleasant to talk to. But
was he the one that had the colors of Syracuse? The press release just came out from Empire Super Sprints about that. What was that? Do you remember?
I do not.
I wish Dean was in the chat room. I'd ask him. It seems like he might have
No
checked
Dino
out.
tonight?
No, he was there. He was there for a long time. He was actually laughing hysterically about you stalking Jeff Hachmann, but then after that he never said anything else.
Listen.
Hey, I didn't do it.
I don't stalk nobody.
Okay.
Not yet.
If I do, well, you'll know it. Did you ever get a chance to see Fonda, see a race there?
Went down there once with Johnny McCardle.
Like how long ago?
I was in 73.
Really?
73 when that was. I haven't been back there since, so I don't know if the track has changed much.
I'm sure it has. I know it has. That's where I grew up going.
I'm sure it's had. I know. I remember seeing a few cars going and taking a little swim.
Yep. I've seen a few of those myself.
And
Bob McCready, namely.
Yeah, and Skyline, I've seen a few of them go over the back turn, back stretch, and hold up a race for a half hour, 45 minutes, so they can bring the helicopters in and pull the car out.
Yep. I've seen Bob McCready and I believe Mike Jacobs go in to drink. They are current members of the Oar Club, as Fonda Speedway calls it. When McCready went in the river, the next year or whatever, that winter, they presented him with an oar. He became an official honorary member of the Oar Club.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that go over?
I guess he took it all in jest. I don't know.
I understand it's shallow there, so
yeah, it is. I know when Mike Jacobs went in there. I'm pretty sure it was Mike Jacobs. It was in the 80s, 85, 6, somewhere in there. I was a teenager, and he went in, and that night you heard the stories later from like the track crew and stuff when they got to him and saw him in the river. He was standing on the roof of his car, so because he couldn't swim.
Oh man!
So it was shallow enough that he could stand on the roof of the car, and he was all right.
Yeah.
He couldn't swim.
Back in the old days, the cars were a lot wider. They were easy to get in and out. And that's
that's
a big learning curve.
When Jacobs went in, it was the old mud bus style bodies,
right,
in the mid '80s.
You can get out in and out real quick.
Yeah.
And today,
now the hole's like this big.
Yeah. It's that was a big learning curve. That and learning the bird.
They don't make those things for fat people. That's for sure.
No, not at all. And if they are, you got to get the extra tall cage.
Yeah. Or you could do the Denny Hamlin move and put a hatch in a roof.
Good.
I've heard about a few of them being made.
Did you see that this weekend?
No. Yeah.
Talladega, because he started Talladega and got out of the car, and they put in a roof hatch so he could climb in and out easier because of his broken
back.
Vertebrae there or whatever.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. Because the hatch rule was implemented a few years ago, but nobody ever used it except Michael Waltrip was the only one.
Right.
To ever utilize.
He was the only driver that was 6
So that hatch has been legal for several years, but so they finally, with his situation, they decided to put the hatch in there.
Tony Stewart didn't need it.
Well,
He's used to crawling in and out of small areas.
He might soon. He gets any bigger. He's getting big.
Oh boy.
Not gonna go there with
He is.
We're not gonna mess with the poor guy.
So did you get a chance to go to Syracuse before? I mean, back in the 70s?
No,
Never.
Well,
just to go watch.
As a
oh
fan.
yeah, oh yeah. The last memorable story was in '73, and again, Johnny McCarter was driving, and we. Johnny was a type of person who wanted a lot of power between his legs, and we were down there, and
I'm not going to go there.
I've dated a lot of women very similar.
And we rebuilt the motor. You know, it was a 427, 120 over, and I don't know how much power it was putting out, but he just not enough.
Yep.
So he said, "Ray, come on with me," and he goes, "We gotta go take a walk." And we walked over and went over and saw Bobby Sandman. He said, "Bobby," he says, "you got a motor in that speed shop that we can borrow?" And he says, "Yeah, I think I got a 512 sitting on the stands up there." And so we hunkered up the Rochester and
Not worried about fuel economy.
No, not at all. And brought it down, put it in the car, and when he came off the backstretch, the front wheels just came right off the track. And he says,
Wow,
that's cool.
He says, "No, time to take some. We got to take some torque out of this car." And actually, we had to end up going out buying gears. But,
really?
Yeah. And Johnny was doing quite well until there was a pileup coming out of 2, and I think he was running 3rd or 4th, and just trashed the car.
Oh yeah.
That's not the first time I've heard that story about I need more power from him.
Yeah.
He's told me that before.
Oh yeah.
He said he's never driven a car that had enough power for him. Basically.
Johnny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long way around. That
Need
was,
more power.
yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
Oh yeah, because my
Taylor.
uncle had come home from Vietnam at the time, and started helping out my grandfather, and we went through a lot of motors with Johnny. Went through a lot of motors.
What was that era like? I mean, 1974, 75, 76. That was all right when
Awesome.
Dirt hadn't formed yet
Well,
officially. So
they had
were
72.
They were just starting. I mean,
72 was the first
72
year.
is when it officially started.
Yeah.
But
I mean, what was the talk then? I mean, what did people think when Dirt got going and they made this organization? What was that sentiment like?
we at that time thought it was a great organization because then you would have one set of rules that would be governed by all tracks. Everybody would be on an equal playing field. You didn't have the amount of what you could have in a motor. You had the body or the chassis length, width, weight.
Right. Well, there was a lot more creativity allowed then. I mean, now everything.
Yeah, you didn't have all the rules and specifications to go by.
I mean, we were still running the coupe in 74, 5, and 6, and I mean, again, the Pintos and the Gremlins were coming out. And
the rule book was probably that thick.
I don't think it was even that thick. I think it was 1 or 2 pages. I don't even ever remember reading the rule book, to be honest with you. But
it was 1 or 2 pages because all had to be hand typed.
Right. And nobody wanted to type it.
Nope.
It was single finger, right? Fred Flintstone.
Yeah.
So, but at that time, I think everybody was saying, yes, we need some type of a governing body. Because
were things that out of control?
Well, when they ran open races, you could have a fuelie in the car at the time. You didn't even have to run a fuel cell. I can remember when Frankie Mears basically lit up the front stretch with fuel all over the place and just was on fire and got severely burnt because he was running a fuelie and his fuel tank was a beer keg.
Yep.
Wow.
So a lot of them did that back.
Back in the day. So the rules, were to help driver safety.
Right.
And then you had guys like Ty Scott come rolling in with the semis back then, which was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And out came 2 or 3 cars, with
the yes car.
Yeah, with the little white, the doggy on the side. I can't remember what kind of dog it was, and what he had on the back of his for tires were drag slicks.
Yep. Right.
They were just actually grooved, and he went out and just put on a show of all shows.
Yep.
I mean, even Cable couldn't even do nothing with him, and so that's where the rules were starting to come in because you needed to get everybody back on a playing field. And there was a whole bunch of different tires. Firestones were being used at that time too, Goodyears and McCreary's, which are now American Racers.
Right.
And we were fortunate enough because my grandfather's cousin was in upper management for McCreary, so we were able to get tires. And basically, I think that's when McCreary's started coming in.
Yep.
At that time, back in the 70s. So, Cool. It got everybody on the same playing field, but basically I think it was meant for more driver safety because just a lot of things were happening, and it was that involvement from the late 60s, early 70s. I can remember the day when Jimmy Reeks went out to, or I can't remember his name now, Sammy Reeks went out of turn 3 wall at Waterloo Speedway. Mm-hmm. I mean, just, and I can still remember.
Landed in the tree.
He cleared the treetops, and
wow.
and so driver safety, started to become more of an awareness back then, because literally you could go to a junkyard and grab a car and throw a roll cage in it and go and race.
Weld a steel bathtub to the roof, and that's a roll cage.
And that's exactly what was going on. So, I thought it was a good time, from a driver safety standpoint, and everybody getting on the same playing field.
Yeah. Does it change your appreciation now that you're around it again? As a driver, and you see the rule books, and you see the changes in terms of affordability with the crate engines and the technology. You said a chassis is a chassis, which you never hear anybody say that anymore. There's people that are devout to Tio or devout to Troy or whatever. Does it change your appreciation of the era that you were able to grow up in the 70s?
Yeah, back then, literally any person could work on a car. And I'll be honest with you, when I took this Troyer car apart and then got it all powder coated and started buying some parts, it sat in my shop at the farm, and I'm struggling putting it together because now, I went to Bill Colton's seminar at Troyer, and, this has to be this distance from the frame and so much camber, and, it's like, wow. Back then, you didn't really have to do any of that. You just went to a junkyard, you grabbed the front end, dropped it in, threw a couple radius rods on it, and went. But today, it's anything you touch on the car will affect the handling.
Mm-hmm. And with a crate engine, it's all about handling.
And it is, because everybody's on the same playing field, supposedly.
Right.
But the one...
So I can race out.
Yeah. Well, you hear it.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Again.
Absolutely. You do.
That's them. I worry about myself.
That's right.
I know I'm 100% legal. I don't really care. For me, I'm just out there to have a good time.
Absolutely.
The one thing that I do wish, and I just purely don't understand this, is that not being able to have the Sportsman run aluminum rims, especially being able to use leftover tires that the modifieds use. We're the society's trying to go green,
right? And
recycling tires. Modifieds will throw a tire away that they ran just for a future, a Sportsman could run 2 or 3 extra races.
Yeah, you sure could.
And I don't, and I held out for a long time. That's the one thing that I did not buy, very quickly. I held right out to the very end, hoping that they would change that rule, because I truly think that one rule should change.
Yeah.
Why? Again, you're able to use the same tires that the modifieds guys are using, and aluminum is stronger than steel.
Yeah.
And from a safety standpoint, that's better for you to have on the car.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And when I hit that turn 2 wall, and even though I hit it sideways right on the rub bar, them 2 rims were trashed. They just folded up like pop cans.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. If they were aluminum,
they would have held up.
They would have held up a lot better.
May still have been damaged, but they would have held up better.
A lot better. And so, but rules are rules.
Yep.
So you play by them, and you go with what's in the book. So, it's protocol, and you have to do what you have to do.
Is there in your mind a dirt track in the United States that you would just love to have one shot and go race at?
Syracuse.
You didn't even think about that.
No, he didn't.
No, that's just something I've always wanted to try. Whether I do it or not, it won't break my heart if I don't.
Right.
But if I have an opportunity, it won't be this year. I can guarantee you that.
Get some seat time under
seat time,
because that can be if with somebody with little experience.
That's not necessarily,
that place can be dangerous.
They have a what do they call it?
Futures.
They have the futures races.
They have the futures races up there.
Yeah. They do.
You could go up there and hot lap
which he would do,
and,
because he would be your first time racing there. So I'm sure once you looked into doing it, that's what you would do first, because they do have a futures race and stuff for the people who
do you need help
have
getting
not
talked
raced
into
there.
It? We're here.
But
even those,
be more glad to look into that.
But even those, you want to make sure yourself, in your mind, you have enough seat time where you feel comfortable, because even going to the futures race, I understand Chris's point for sure, and that's what I think you probably should do. But even that, you got to remember now you're out there with all other people with very little experience, and that can be a dangerous place.
Well,
that track, I mean, can be a dangerous place. It can be. It's fast.
I've seen a lot of cars go out of that speedway.
Yeah.
A lot of cars go out of the speedway.
Were you there? Were you there for the wreck that happened coming out of the pits? I can't believe I'm blanking on the names. The car came out of the pits. They show the replay.
It was Fuzzy come out, and it was Fuzzy, right? He was facing the entire field, and they ran over him. Literally.
No.
Is that the one you're thinking of?
Might have been. Car came off pit road.
Came off pit road, got turned around, facing the whole
right
field.
over the top of him. Yeah,
I believe that was Fuzzy.
No, I've seen some USAC cars go out. Back in the 70s, right out of turn 1 and land right in the concession stands.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You know, I can't remember.
Hell, they still do that at other places.
Not at Syracuse. Cause
no.
go there anymore.
That was when Mario Andretti and AJ Foyt were down.
Yep.
And I don't know if it was Jim Hurtubise. I can't remember who was the one that went outside, but it was a couple flips, a couple barrel rolls, and poink right out.
Benhausens were running back then.
Yep. Gary Benhausen. Yep.
I meant to ask earlier, there was a question on the live chat. Are you related to the Hendershots that ran at Spencer's? Spencer Speedway?
Not that I'm aware of. I know that there's quite a few Hendershots that live in Rochester area. Not that I'm aware of. I know my grandparents are, on my dad's side, are from Fulton County, Pennsylvania. And my mom's family is from Italy. So there we got the Brunos, the Italians, and you got the Hendershots, the Germans. That's a great mix, right?
Nice.
A lot of hotness right there. But
perfect for a July pit area.
Yeah. Now Hendershots are spelled with one T, and there's two T's. So, not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge.
I can't believe we're already at an hour and a half. We
no kidding.
Well, it goes fast when we're actually having fun.
Kibitzing.
Yeah.
I like it.
I appreciate you asking me on here.
Wait,
this is a fun time.
There's an open chair for you anytime you want to come. By all means.
Thank you.
There's plenty of room here.
Thank you.
It was great. I can't believe that we're so late.
That's fine. We're having fun.
I like to. Can I plug my sponsors?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Get them out there.
Balloons Restaurant. Bernie Simmons, who has done a great job over there for Boone's. If you want a great steak, go see him.
Ooh, yeah.
Where are they?
Wall Street on the on the west side of the prison in Auburn. And Booley Construction, wall-to-wall construction, Tees and More, and Maximum Fitness here in Seneca Falls. And I like to also thank Bill Colton and all the Troyer group. Bill allowed Tony and myself to bring the car up there and for 2 weeks during Christmas and work on the car up there after hours. I appreciate Bill's hospitality. He's been a great guy, and all the guys at Troyer.
So is the chassis still a chassis?
Chassis still a chassis.
Oh boy! Oh no! Don't do that to yourself.
But I will never leave a Troyer.
There you go.
I'll always stay with Troyer just because service, personality, and a great bunch of guys.
Yep.
And I also want to thank my pit crew, which is Tony Mayo and Brian Turner and Johnny Turner. And Rob Mack for coming in now and then, and a young kid named Jay Witt, who is a 13-year-old kid that lives down from the farm, who is starting to get into it. And
nice. We need more of that. We need more kids involved in the sport.
You know what you're looking at, don't you? You're looking at the future you. That was you.
Well, yeah, and you're correct.
It's crazy.
And then we have Brian's two sons, Dale and Zach is running go-karts.
Oh man!
And we pulled a double off. He won his class Sunday. Yeah. And congratulations, Zach. I hope you're out there
Frozen
listening
Ocean, right?
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, Brian doesn't race anymore, does he?
No. But I never know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
you're living proof.
He's getting a little itchy.
Oh, nice.
If you get 3 wins.
Oh yeah.
Well, right now I'm working with my chemo company and the marketing firm out of New York City, and seeing possibility of them becoming a major sponsor and possibly getting a new car for next year.
Nice.
And then I'll hang on this car, and we'll have a 2-car sportsman.
2-car team. There you go.
Talk about everything happening for a reason in life, right?
Yeah, this is
fascinating.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
so
the whole thing is just.
It's funny because last week when for the win, that Saturday nothing was going right. I mean, anything that we did at home was wrong. My wife and I had a few fights. We get halfway to Canandaigua, and she said to me, she goes, "You got your fire suit and everything?" I says, "Yeah, bag's back there, everything's all set." And got down the road a couple miles. I says, "Oops, the suit's hanging in the guest bedroom." So I knew my oldest daughter was at down in Ithaca doing some hiking at one of the parks, and called her up. She said, "Yeah, we just got home." And Tara, thanks a lot for going and getting me that fire suit for me. I appreciate it. So
awesome.
I told her she had to be there by 5:30, and she got there. And
Nice.
And then, as my wife says, it was meant to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was meant to be. She said, "Just relax. Everything will be fine." She goes, "You're going to do well tonight."
Look at that.
And
Foreshadowing.
That's so cool.
Yep.
So
Nice.
so far, so good.
Before, I know you're wanting to get off the air here. Before we get off the air, I'd like to just give a shout out to Stevie Buckwalter winning the ARDC portion at Port Royal on Sunday. He has started the 2013 season 3 for 3 now with ARDC. It was like the first time since Ray Bull did it in 2000, 2002 or something like that.
Don't look at me for that
It's
stat, bro.
It's been a few years since anybody had started, winning the first 3 shows. But he's just, boy, he is a lot of fun to watch. He's just so much faster than everybody else. He's amazing at a midget. So that was good. Good show. Next ARDC shows are not this weekend. They're off this weekend. Next weekend they go to Maryland on Friday and at the 17th or whatever the date is. And then the next night, Saturday, they're in Virginia. 2-day weekend. So
Very cool.
yeah.
Excellent.
I don't know what's going to happen with Buckwalter. I would imagine, if I had to guess, he'll probably be staying home and running the Grove because he runs the Grove with his 410 Sprinter on Friday nights. I would think he'd probably stay at the Grove and not go to the ARDC show. So there's a good chance we could have a new winner this year. So we'll see. I guess when Ray Bull went 3 for 3, he did win, I guess, the first 4 shows. So if Buckwalter does go out to Maryland and Virginia that weekend, who knows? He could be the first guy to win the first 5 shows. Who knows? But I have a feeling he'll stay home, go to the Grove, I would think. But time will tell.
We'll have to see what happens.
Another week.
Quick programming note. Next week we're going to have a couple of 358 drivers on. We're working close with DIRTcar and Julia Foy. You'll put that together. Tentatively, we've talked a little bit about Billy Dunn making a return to the 31st lap, so it'll be fun to catch up with him. He won Canandaigua's modified portion, so congratulations to him. We're also going to be catching up with, in the discussion, is Pat Ward. We've also talked maybe about trying to get Mario Claire, and we know how popular those Canadian drivers are on the 31st lap.
Does he speak any English at all?
More than you, John Bomas.
Actually, I don't know if he does or not.
I don't know either.
I've tried it before, and it was broken. Got to give a big thank you to Ray Hendershot for coming out and joining us on the 31st lap.
Thank you for having me.
Once again, you're welcome anytime. That's going to do it for this edition of the 31st lap. We're going to see you right back here again next week.
www.fingerlakes1.com